High Priest Forlag's slender fingers glided across the sensor control panel of the Whispering Shadow. His ancient eyes narrowed in concentration. The Xylosian patrol vessel hung motionless in the void, cloaked in layers of gravitational distortion that made it effectively invisible to all known detection methods. Around him, the bridge crew worked in reverent silence, their movements precise and unhurried, befitting the renowned discipline of their ancient species. "Anything of note, Analyst Kalen?" Forlag asked, his multitonal voice barely above a whisper. The ceremonial markings on his silvery skin shimmered under the subdued lighting of the bridge. Kalen, his second-in-command and chief analyst, looked up from her workstation. "Nothing that warrants attention, High Priest." The usual scattered energy signatures from minor skirmishes among the younger species. Mostly trading disputes and territorial posturing. Forlag nodded, satisfaction evident in his expression. The disputed nebulous sector they were patrolling was known for occasional pirate activity and minor confrontations between the younger spacefaring races, but nothing that truly concerned the Xylosians. Their civilization had mastered interstellar travel when humans were still discovering fire, and they regarded most other species with a mixture of disinterest and mild condescension. "The nebula's particulate density has increased by 3% since our last patrol," Kalen added. "It's affecting our long-range gravitational sensors' precision by a negligible margin." "Recalibrate if necessary," Forlag replied. "We must maintain optimal surveillance capabilities." The Whispering Shadow represented the pinnacle of Xylosian technology, a vessel designed to see everything while remaining unseen. Its gravitational sensors could detect the smallest disturbances in space-time fabric across vast distances. Its cloaking technology manipulated the very fabric of reality, bending light and other forms of energy around the ship. For centuries, this technological superiority had allowed the Xylosians to observe, catalog, and occasionally guide the development of younger species without interference. Forlag took quiet pride in this superiority. The younger races, particularly humans, with their crude energy weapons and simplistic detection arrays, posed no challenge to Xylosian technology. Intelligence reports described human vessels as relatively primitive, functional but unrefined, like their creators. "High Priest." The urgency in Kalen's voice cut through Forlag's contemplation. "The gravitational sensors are detecting an anomaly." Forlag's attention sharpened. "Specify." "A massive object moving at incredible velocity through the tertiary layer of the nebula. The gravitational distortion is substantial." Kalen's fingers moved rapidly over her controls. "The mass and speed calculations are unprecedented for this sector." "Display," Forlag commanded. A three-dimensional holographic representation materialized in the center of the bridge, showing the swirling nebula clouds and, within them, a red outline shape moving with deliberate purpose. "That cannot be correct," Forlag said, studying the readout. "Nothing of that mass should be capable of such speeds within the nebula's secondary space distortions. The particulate density alone would." Confirmed on multiple sensor bands, High Priest, another analyst interrupted. "The object is generating unusual energy signatures. The pattern suggests." The analyst hesitated. "The pattern suggests a warship of significant size and capability." Forlag's expression hardened. "Species identification?" Kalen worked her station intensely before responding. "Preliminary analysis points to human construction." "Impossible," Forlag dismissed immediately. "Our intelligence reports are clear. Human vessels cannot achieve those speeds or generate such energy outputs. They lack the theoretical understanding required for such technology." "The readings are consistent and alarming," High Priest, Kalen insisted. "The energy signatures show fluctuation patterns unlike any known reactor type, but the construction aesthetics match human design philosophies. What's more concerning?" She paused, double-checking her readings. "The vessel appears to be maintaining a tactical posture." "Tactical posture?" Forlag moved to Kalen's station. "We are under perfect cloak. No human sensor technology, could possibly? I cannot explain it, High Priest, but the vessel's orientation and energy distribution suggest awareness of something in this exact sector. Forlag's confidence wavered slightly. Run a full multispectral scan. Perhaps there's another explanation. The Xylosian crew executed the command, initiating a comprehensive sensor sweep that utilized every detection technology at their disposal. Minutes passed in tense silence as data streamed into the ship's central processing core. Scan complete, Kalen announced. The results confirm our initial readings. The holographic display updated, revealing more detail about the mysterious vessel. Its massive silhouette was angular and intimidating, bristling with what appeared to be weapon emplacements. Energy readings pulsed in patterns that defied conventional understanding of human technological capabilities. Attempt passive imaging, Forlag ordered, his voice betraying the first hints of concern. Attempting, an officer responded. After several moments. Unsuccessful, High Priest. The vessel appears to be shifting its energy emissions in a way that prevents detailed analysis. It's almost as if it knows we're scanning, Kalen finished quietly. Forlag's jaw tightened. The situation defied every assumption about human capabilities. His certainty in Xylosian technological superiority, once absolute, now felt less secure. Continue monitoring, he finally said, but maintain passive sensors only. Let us observe its trajectory and... High Priest, the navigational officer's voice rose in alarm. The vessel has altered course. It's heading directly toward our position. Disbelief rippled through the bridge. The vessel's sudden change in direction was displayed prominently on the holographic map, a direct intercept course with a whispering shadow. Impossible, Forlag whispered, but with far less conviction than before. Our cloaking technology is impenetrable. No younger species has ever detected a Xylosian vessel under full stealth protocols. The evidence suggests otherwise, Kalen said grimly. The human vessel is definitely on an intercept course. Forlag squared his shoulders, gathering his composure. Initiate complete silence protocols. Divert all non-essential power to cloaking systems. Activate tertiary countermeasures. The bridge dimmed as power was redirected to the ship's stealth systems. The Xylosian crew worked with practiced efficiency, their earlier confidence replaced by growing concern. Distance to intercept, Forlag asked. At current velocity, Kalen calculated. 12 minutes. Forlag stared at the approaching vessel on the display, his mind racing through possible explanations. Had Xylosian intelligence so catastrophically underestimated human technological progress? Had their cloaking technology been compromised? Or was this something else entirely? Before he could further consider these disquieting possibilities, another officer spoke. High Priest, we're receiving a communication. That's not possible, Forlag said automatically. Our communication arrays are in silent mode. There is nothing to. It's a highly focused, encrypted beam transmission aimed precisely at our position, the communications officer explained, disbelief evident in his voice. It bypassed our primary security protocols. The bridge fell into stunned silence. The message is, in perfect standard Xylosian, the officer added, his voice barely audible. Forlag felt a chill despite the bridge's controlled temperature. Display the message. The holographic display shifted, now showing a text communication floating in crisp, flawless Xylosian script. Xylosian vessel, whispering shadow. This is indomitable. You are deploying multi-spectral sensor probes in a restricted human military operations area. Please state your intentions. The shock that swept through the bridge was palpable. Not only had the humans detected their cloaked vessel, but they had also identified it by name. Furthermore, they had somehow penetrated Xylosian encryption and communication barriers with apparent ease. This is unprecedented, Kalen whispered, articulating what everyone was thinking. Forlag's mind raced. How had they been detected? How did the humans know their ship's designation? And most critically, how had they penetrated Xylosian encryption? Their claim of a restricted area is technically inaccurate according to galactic treaties, Kalen pointed out, attempting to focus on something concrete. But their confidence is concerning. Forlag faced a difficult decision. Responding would officially acknowledge their presence and the failure of their cloaking technology. Attempting to retreat might provoke escalation if the humans truly could track them. Neither option aligned with standard Xylosian protocols. High Priest, the sensor officer, interrupted his thoughts. The human vessel is emerging from the nebula cloud. All eyes turned to the main viewing screen as a massive warship materialized from the thick nebular clouds. Its appearance sent a collective shudder through the Xylosian crew. The vessel was enormous, angular, and bore the scars of previous battles across its armored hull. Weapons and placements of unfamiliar design covered its surface, and the designation, UNSC Indomitable, was clearly visible along its flank. The sheer size and aggressive design were shocking, entirely different from the fragile, utilitarian craft described in older Xylosian intelligence reports. This was no primitive vessel cobbled together by an emerging species. This was a vessel of war, built by a civilization that understood conflict on an interstellar scale. For the first time in his long career, Forlag felt genuine uncertainty. The sight of the ship challenged every preconception he held about humans and their place in the galactic hierarchy. "They're waiting for our response," Kalen reminded him quietly. After careful consideration, Forlag nodded. "Open a channel. Narrowest possible beam, encrypted to highest protocols." The communications officer complied, and Forlag squared his shoulders before speaking. "UNSC vessel. This is the Xylosian research ship, Whispering Shadow. We are conducting a standard patrol of this sector as permitted under Section 12 of the Galactic Concordance. We were unaware of any restricted designation for this region." The response came almost immediately, appearing as both text and audio. "Xylosian vessel. This is Captain Eva Rostova of the UNSC Indomitable. Your vessel is classified as a military intelligence gathering platform, not a research vessel. Let's dispense with the pretense." The voice was female, authoritative, and projecting an irritating confidence that bothered Forlag deeply. The human captain had casually dismissed his carefully constructed cover and seemed entirely unimpressed by Xylosian protocol. "Furthermore," Rostova continued, "your presence was detected via temporal microdistortion analysis of your cloaking drive's space-time manipulation field, a technique your scientists probably consider purely theoretical." Without warning, a tactical display overlaid the main screen, showing a detailed analysis of the Whispering Shadow's cloaking field, complete with highlighted points of detectable temporal distortion. The display was projected directly through the Xylosian communication system, bypassing several layers of security. Forlag stared in disbelief. The humans had not only detected them, but had done so using principles that Xylosian science considered advanced theoretical physics. "If you're wondering about our presence," Rostova continued, apparently reading the stunned silence correctly, "the Indomitable isn't on patrol. We're hunting." A new set of data appeared on the screen: sensor logs, debris analysis, and energy signature readings unfamiliar to the Xylosians. "We've been tracking a biological threat within this nebula," Rostova explained. "We call them void spawn, highly aggressive entities that consume energy and matter, leaving dead zones in secondary space. They appear to be mechanoid organisms, possibly engineered." Images appeared showing shadowy, shifting forms attacking what appear to be human outposts and transport vessels. The footage was disturbing. The entities moved with unnatural speed and seemed to absorb energy directly from ship systems before tearing through hulls with appendages that constantly reconfigured themselves. "Attacks on our outposts and shipping have escalated dramatically in the past month," Rostova continued. "We track their movement patterns to this nebula." "You expect me to believe this convenient story?" Forlag replied, his skepticism evident. "That some mysterious threat happens to be lurking in a sector where my ship is conducting legitimate operations? This seems more likely to be a pretext for human expansion into Xylosian-adjacent territory." Captain Rostova's expression remained neutral. I anticipated your skepticism, High Priest Forlag. The use of his title, information not included in their initial communication, was another small shock. Perhaps this will be more convincing, Rostova said. The display changed again, now showing high-resolution sensor recordings of void-spawn swarms overwhelming smaller vessels. The entity's forms shifted constantly, their energy signatures unlike anything in Xylosian records. The footage was detailed and extensive, difficult to fabricate convincingly. Note the environmental markers, Rostova pointed out, highlighting subtle anomalies in the nebular composition. Trace decay products with unusual half-lives, quantum-entangled particle streams, and microfractures in local space-time. Kalen was already running comparisons with their own sensor logs. High Priest, she said, her voice tight with growing alarm, I'm finding similar markers in our earlier scans. We categorize them as standard nebular fluctuations, but the pattern matches the human data perfectly. Forlag's certainty wavered further as Kalen displayed her findings. The evidence was becoming difficult to dismiss. The void spawn are adapting, Rostova continued, becoming bolder. Recent activity suggests they're gathering for a larger push out of the nebula, threatening both human and Xylosian space. Even if I accept the existence of these. Void spawn, Forlag said carefully. Why approach us? The Indomitable appears more than capable. The Indomitable is powerful, Rostova acknowledged, but facing the main swarm alone would be suicide. Recent intelligence suggests they're building some kind of primary nest deep in the nebula's secondary space pocket. She paused, studying Forlag through the communication link. We need the Whispering Shadow's exceptional stealth and sensor capabilities to locate the nest precisely. In return, we offer the firepower to neutralize it and share data on the threat. Forlag found himself in an unprecedented situation. Cooperation with humans, unreliable, unpredictable humans, violated numerous protocols. Yet an unidentified threat potentially gathering at the edge of Xylosian space could not be ignored. I require time to analyze your data and consult with my crew, Forlag finally said. Of course, Rostova replied. But I should mention, our long-range sensors detected unusual movement patterns approximately 6 hours ago. If our models are correct, we have less than 20 standard hours before the swarm mobilizes. The communication ended, leaving the Xylosian bridge in uncomfortable silence. Verify everything, Forlag ordered immediately. I want independent confirmation of these void spawn and their supposed threat level. For the next hour, the Xylosian crew analyzed the human data alongside their own sensor records. Kalen personally supervised the investigation, cross-referencing historical readings with the new information. High Priest, she finally reported, her expression grave. I believe the human captain is telling the truth. Our own sensors detected these anomalies, but our interpretation algorithms categorized them as nebular phenomena. When reanalyzed with the human parameters, she displayed a new set of readings that clearly showed matching patterns. The threat appears genuine. Forlag stared at the evidence, weighing his options. Protection of Xylosian interests was his primary duty, but cooperation with humans violated long-standing cultural norms. Yet the alternative, allowing an unknown threat to potentially emerge unchallenged, was strategically unsound. Open a channel to the Indomitable, he finally decided. Captain Rostova appeared on screen almost immediately. Have you reached a decision, High Priest? The Whispering Shadow will provide temporary assistance in locating this threat, Forlag stated formally. This cooperation is strictly limited to the current situation and does not constitute a precedent for future engagements. Rostova nodded. Understood. I suggest we begin by integrating our sensor networks and developing a coordinated approach plan. What followed was an intensive planning session that highlighted the vast differences in human and Xylosian methodologies. The humans favored rapid action based on probability calculations, employing adaptive algorithms that made decisions with incomplete data. The Xylosians preferred methodical data collection, multiple contingency plans, and minimal risk exposure. Integrating their systems proved technically challenging. Human technology seemed to operate on principles that occasionally contradicted established physical laws as understood by Xylosian science. Their interfaces were surprisingly intuitive but frustratingly non-standardized. A team of human engineers, led by a woman named Technical Specialist Rodriguez, worked alongside reluctant Xylosian technicians to create a temporary bridge between their systems. Cultural friction emerged immediately. The humans were direct to the point of rudeness by Xylosian standards, while the Xylosians' formal communication patterns seemed unnecessarily convoluted to the humans. Your gravitational detection algorithms are incredibly sophisticated, Rodriguez commented while examining Xylosian sensor code, but your interface protocols are ridiculously overcomplicated. Why do you need 17 authentication steps just to modify sensor gain? The Xylosian technician, offended but maintaining decorum, responded with stiff formality. Proper procedure ensures precision and security. Technical Specialist Rodriguez. Hasty modifications lead to errors. When you're in combat, 17 steps gets you killed, Rodriguez replied bluntly, before proposing a simplified bridge protocol. Despite such friction, the integration progressed. Forlag observed the human crew with growing curiosity. Their discipline was different from Xylosian discipline, less formal but intensely focused. Captain Rostova demonstrated sharp strategic thinking, acknowledging Xylosian strengths in sensor sensitivity and cloaked maneuvering while confidently asserting human combat capabilities. During this planning, an incident occurred that slightly shifted the dynamic. Xylosian sensors detected a faint anomaly the human systems had missed, a small cluster of energy signatures with a void spawn pattern, position 2. Potentially ambush vessels following the most obvious approach vector. Your sensors detected that? Rostova asked, genuine surprise in her voice as she studied the data. Our temporal array should have picked it up. Xylosian gravitational detection operates on principles different from your temporal scanning, Forlag explained, allowing a hint of pride. We detect the subtle mass displacement caused by energy field generation, not just the fields themselves. Rostova nodded thoughtfully. Impressive. That information just saved us a potentially nasty surprise. The acknowledgement, though small, created a minute shift in the atmosphere, a first spark of mutual professional respect. The final plan leveraged both ships' strengths. The Whispering Shadow would use its cloaking and sensor capabilities to guide the Indomitable through the dangerous sections of the nebula, identifying void spawn patrols and the likely nest location. The Indomitable would provide close-range detection, temporal sensing, and offensive capabilities. The human ship carried a specialized resonance weapon designed to disrupt the void spawn's biological cohesion, but it needed to be deployed relatively close to the main nest to be effective. The approach will be dangerous, Rostova warned during the final briefing. Our models suggest the nebula's secondary space pocket where the nest is likely located contains significant gravitational eddies and plasma streams. The Whispering Shadow is designed for precise navigation through such phenomena, Forlag responded. We will guide your vessel safely. Then we're agreed, Rostova concluded. Operation begins in 3 hours. I suggest both crews prepare accordingly. As the joint operation commenced, the Whispering Shadow took the lead, its superior stealth capabilities keeping both ships hidden from the scattered void spawn patrols. The Xylosian crew operated with practiced precision, their earlier skepticism partially replaced by professional focus. The nebula became increasingly hostile as they progressed, swirling plasma currents and gravitational eddies that could tear lesser ships apart. The Whispering Shadow navigated these hazards with elegant efficiency, creating a safe passage for the larger Indomitable. Their first direct encounter with void spawn came 5 hours into the mission, a small patrol of scout entities, faster and more agile than those shown in the briefing materials. Before the Xylosians could suggest evasion tactics, the Indomitable engaged. Forlag watched in astonishment as the human warship deployed weapons unlike anything in Xylosion records. Localized space-time distortion fields collapsed around the void-spawn scouts, while focused energy beams struck with surgical precision. The scouts were neutralized in seconds, their strange forms dissolving into subatomic particles. Remarkable weapons technology, Kalen commented quietly to Forlag. Indeed, he replied, his earlier dismissal of human capabilities now seeming dangerously misinformed. Our intelligence on human military development appears to be severely outdated. Deeper into the nebula, they encountered stronger void-spawn resistance. The entities seemed to sense the approaching ships despite their stealth measures, reacting with increasing aggression. Each engagement revealed more about void-spawn capabilities. They absorbed energy, adapted to attack patterns, and communicated through some form of quantum entanglement. Finally, after navigating a particularly treacherous region of compacted space-time, their sensors detected the nest, a massive, pulsating structure of bioluminescent tendrils wrapped around captured asteroids and abandoned ships deep within a secondary space pocket. It radiated bizarre energy in patterns that defied conventional analysis. Swarms of void spawn circled it protectively. "That's definitely our target," Rostova confirmed. "The energy signature matches what we've seen at attack sites, but magnified hundredfold." Forlag studied the readings from the Whispering Shadows sensors. The structure appears to be using the captured vessels as some form of energy processing nodes. "It's growing." "Then we haven't arrived too soon," Rostova replied grimly. "We need to deploy the resonance weapon directly into that central mass." She highlighted a pulsating core visible through gaps in the outer structure. "That's our target. The resonance cascade should disrupt their collective cohesion." "The void spawn concentration is extremely high," Forlag noted. "Your approach will be detected." "That's why we brought the fastest ship in the UNSC fleet," Rostova responded with a confidence that Forlag was beginning to recognize as characteristic of humans. "We'll need your ship to provide real-time tactical data during our approach. Your sensors can identify weak points in their swarm formations that our systems might miss." The final approach plan was daring by Xylosian standards. The Indomitable would make a high-speed run toward the nest, while the Whispering Shadow remained at a safer distance, providing tactical guidance and using its gravitational manipulation capabilities to disrupt void spawn formations. "Begin operation on my mark," Rostova announced, her voice calm despite the obvious danger. 3, 2, 1 mark. The Indomitable accelerated toward the nest with astonishing speed. Almost immediately, the void spawn reacted, swarming toward the approaching vessel in undulating waves. The battle erupted with intense ferocity. The Indomitable's shields flared brilliantly as it plowed through the first wave of defenders, its weapons systems firing continuously. The void spawn countered by attempting to surround the warship, their forms merging and separating in fluid, coordinated attacks. From its position, the Whispering Shadow provided crucial tactical data, identifying vulnerability patterns in the swarm behavior. The Xylosian crew worked with focused intensity, their sophisticated sensors detecting nuances in the void spawn movements that even the advanced human systems missed. "Captain Rostova," Forlag transmitted, "our analysis indicates a synchronized attack pattern forming at your starboard ventral quadrant. They appear to be coordinating through quantum resonance." "Acknowledged," Rostova replied amid the sounds of battle. Adjusting defense grid. The Whispering Shadow went beyond passive observation, using precisely calibrated gravitational pulses to disrupt the void spawn formations, subtle manipulations that confuse their coordination without revealing the Xylosian ship's exact position. As the Indomitable pushed closer to the nest's core, it sustained increasingly serious damage. Sections of its hull armor were breached, and multiple weapon systems went offline. Yet it continued its determined approach. Shields at 37%, Forlag heard over the communication channel. Drive stability compromised in sections 4 through 9. Distance to deployment range, Rostova demanded. 1,000 kilometers and closing came the response. 87 seconds to optimal position. Suddenly, the tactical display showed a new development. A large contingent of void spawn had broken away from the main defense, circling around to target the Indomitable's damaged engine section. Captain Rostova, Forlag transmitted urgently. A significant force is maneuvering to your aft quadrant. They appear to be targeting your propulsion systems. I see them, Rostova replied tersely. Rerouting point defense, but our coverage is limited with the damage we've sustained. Forlag watched the tactical display with growing concern. If the void spawn disabled the Indomitable's engines, the human ship would be overwhelmed before it could deploy the resonance weapon. The entire mission, and potentially both vessels, would be lost. In that critical moment, Forlag made a decision that contradicted centuries of Xylosian protocol. Tactical officer, prepare a focused energy shield projection. Target coordinates: the space between the human vessel's aft section and the approaching void spawn. Kalen looked at him in shock. High Priest, that would require temporarily dropping our cloak and exposing our position. I am aware, Forlag replied firmly. Execute the command. Seconds later, the Whispering Shadow, partially decloaked, projecting a concentrated energy barrier that intercepted the void spawn assault force. The unexpected obstacle confused the entities momentarily, giving the Indomitable crucial seconds to adjust its defenses. However, the action drew immediate attention from other void spawn. A significant portion of the swarm diverted toward the now visible Xylosian vessel. Whispering Shadow, what are you doing? Rostova's voice came through with clear surprise. Providing tactical support, Forlag responded calmly, even as his vessel came under attack. Complete your approach, Captain. We will manage the diversion. The Whispering Shadow was not designed for direct combat. Its defensive systems, while sophisticated, were intended for emergency protection rather than sustained engagement. As void spawn surrounded the vessel, alarms blared across the bridge. Structural integrity compromised in 3 sections, an officer reported. Energy containment systems at critical levels. Forlag remained composed. Maintain position. Continue supporting the human vessel's approach. On the tactical display, the Indomitable pushed through the remaining defenses, approaching the nest's core. Its hull was scorched and breached in multiple locations, but its trajectory remained true. Deployment range achieved, Rostova announced. Initiating resonance weapons sequence. A specialized launch pod emerged from the Indomitable's central section, targeting the pulsating heart of the void spawn nest. The pod accelerated rapidly, avoiding the grasping tendrils that reached for it. Detonation in 3, 2, 1. A blinding flash erupted from the nest's core, followed by an expanding wave of energy unlike anything the Xylosians had ever observed. It passed through solid matter without physical effect, but caused the void spawn entities to convulse violently. Their coordinated movements dissolved into chaos as the wave disrupted whatever force bound them together. Throughout the nebula pocket, void spawn writhed, broke apart, or fled in disarray. The threat that had seemed so overwhelming moments before was now neutralized, at least temporarily. The Indomitable, severely damaged but still functional, turned back toward the Whispering Shadow. The Xylosian vessel, having sustained significant damage from its unexpected combat role, struggled to maintain basic systems functionality. Whispering Shadow, what's your status? Rostova's voice came through, tinged with genuine concern. We have sustained extensive damage, Forlag replied, surveying the reports flooding his display. Multiple systems are offline. Propulsion is severely compromised. We're coming to assist, Rostova responded immediately. Our engineers can help stabilize your critical systems. Working together, the 2 damaged ships managed to withdraw from the nebula pocket. The Indomitable, despite its own injuries, provided support to the more severely damaged Xylosian vessel. Human engineers, transferred via shuttle, worked alongside Xylosian technicians to restore essential systems. Hours later, With both ships limping toward safer space, Forlag received a direct communication request from Captain Rostova. He accepted it in his private chamber, away from the bridge. "High Priest," Rostova began, her expression solemn. "I wanted to personally express my gratitude for your actions today. The Whispering Shadows intervention saved my ship and crew." Forlag, humbled by the day's events, inclined his head slightly. "Your vessel's performance was impressive, Captain. I acknowledge the effectiveness of your tactics and technology. I've authorized a secure data package to be transferred to your systems," Rostova continued. "It contains everything we know about the void spawn, origins, behavior patterns, weaknesses. Our scientists believe they may not be entirely neutralized. We will contribute our sensor data and analysis to the package," Forlag offered. "Perhaps together, our species can develop more effective countermeasures should these entities return." An understanding passed between them. Not friendship, exactly, but a mutual recognition of capability and purpose. As the communication ended and Forlag prepared for the long journey back to Xylosian space, he found himself contemplating the profound implications of the day's events. The humans had revealed technological capabilities far beyond what Xylosian intelligence had indicated. They had detected a cloaked Xylosian vessel, bypassed its security protocols, and demonstrated weapons technology that bordered on the theoretical. More disturbing was the question of the void spawn's origins. Were they natural phenomena, evolved in some dark corner of the galaxy? Or engineered weapons, created for purposes yet unknown? And if the latter, by whom? The old certainties about galactic hierarchy and Xylosian superiority now seemed dangerously outdated. The universe had suddenly become larger and more dangerous. As his ship limped homeward, Forlag knew that his report would spark intense debate within the Xylosian leadership. The established order was changing irreversibly. What place the Xylosians would hold in this new reality remained to be seen.